Good morning, everybody, and welcome to week 6 of core and pelvic floor with me, Hannah. We are going to be talking a lot and then doing some exercises where we aim to use breath work to strengthen our core, build a greater awareness of our pelvic floor, and strengthen both those areas. So we're going to jump right in. Week 6. This topic this week is pelvic floor and lower back pain, all the exciting things. Every week, I think I say next week I'll talk less. And then every week I find a topic that relates to pelvic floor and that I really think is interesting and I want to tell you about. So here we are, pelvic floor and lower back pain. So let's begin. And I'll try to I'm going to say all the things I have to say and hopefully it won't take too long. Anyway, we are all well aware as participants in this class that pelvic floor symptoms like incontinence, leaking, things like that are extremely common. And I'm sure that unfortunately a lot of you are very much aware that lower back pain, lower back issues can be really common as well. And calciprees, the two of these things, the pelvic floor and the low back, are most definitely linked. Actually, I read a study while researching for this class. 182 participants were surveyed, and it was found that 95% of those who experienced lumbopelvic pain, so that low back pain, also had pelvic floor dysfunction. I find that statistic absolutely staggering and really, really interesting. So we're going to explore this a little bit more today, see if we can learn a bit more, and maybe it's something that that affects you directly. Maybe this is something that you can take on board. And now, when we say low back pain, that term is really broad. It's a phrase used to describe a variety of complaints. And of course, I'm not going to be aiming to cover everything. It's just out of the scope of this course. My aim today is to kind of communicate how integral our pelvic floor function is, obviously, for things like bathroom functions. And we've talked a little bit about how it just generally helps us in our daily life, how it's affected by emotion and stress and pain and things like that. But also how your pelvic floor and how it functions, how that affects parts of your body that you might not have considered. So that's the aim today. We're going to look at a couple of examples of low back pain and the pelvic floor. I want to preface everything I'm saying with this. Please remember that what I say is not a diagnosis. I'm not a medical professional. I am a fitness professional, and these things are not the same. So what I'm saying is not a diagnosis of your low back trouble. If you're experiencing consistent pain, please see a medical professional. This course is just for information. Maybe you'll hear what I'm saying and you'll think, oh, that's me, so I should definitely do this. Get yourself checked by a medical professional. We're just discussing for information and education purposes. Okay, so to move on, one common location for pain that can be described as low back pain is in the sacroiliac, which is a big word, sacroiliac, or the SI joints. I've chosen this example because my SI joints quite often make themselves known to me. And when I found some really good articles linking SI joint pain with pelvic floor, I dove right into the research and I thought it would be a perfect example for this class. Now, we are not going to have a big anatomy lesson here, but I want to explain exactly where I mean. So your SI joints are located in your pelvis. Between your two hip bones, there's a triangular, trying to make a triangle. There's a triangular bone called the sacrum. And where the sacrum connects to those two hip bones, those are your SI joints, your sacroiliac joints. And they support the weight of your upper body and distribute it evenly across your pelvis. They also reduce pressure on your spine, and they support your range of motion when you bend and you twist at the hips. So pain in this area, it can be felt through the pelvis, through the hips, through the low back, and through the thighs. It could also feel like numbness or a tingling sensation. So how does this relate to the pelvic floor? There's several muscles in there that support the pelvic and the sacroiliac joint. And when they're weak, they're not able to properly support that SI joint or that pelvis, and therefore can contribute to pain and stiffness that you feel in your lower back. So when those muscles are weak, they can't do that supporting job properly. They can't support that SI joint and can't evenly support the weight of your upper body. So strengthening your core, strengthening those pelvic muscles can be really valuable in relieving that SI joint pain. We've talked already, I'm just going to take a drink, actually, I'm talking so much. Now, we've talked already during this course about the importance of being able to relax your pelvic floor. An overactive pelvic floor, so one that isn't able to fully relax, can cause as many problems as a weak pelvic floor. You can find tender spots in your pelvic floor if you're using excessive tension, or if you can't relax and you have excessive tension, or you're overusing your pelvic floor, can create tender spots, which create patterns of pain that then travel elsewhere into the body, including tailbone, lower back, hips, abdomen, legs, pelvic organs. An overly tense pelvic floor also can lead to constipation. If you have difficulty relaxing your pelvic floor muscles when during a bowel movement, or if you're holding in a bowel movement, that can create constipation. And constipation is associated with, you guessed it, an increase in lower back pain. All these things, everything is linked. And when the muscles of your pelvic floor are in spasm, so when they're really overly tense, this causes pain, which can be felt in the region of the lower back. And so commonly, that can be misdiagnosed as lower back pain. And I feel like that's, really common and really understandable. Your low back hurts, so you think, oh, my back hurts. You don't think, what else is going on in my pelvic region? Or maybe you haven't. Now, if you are a chronic back pain sufferer and you feel like you've done all the things, you've seen the chiropractor, you've seen the osteopath, you see your masseuse, and you continue to suffer and you're finding it hard to get relief, maybe pelvic floor physiotherapy is something to do, something to consider, especially if you also experience some of those pelvic floor symptoms that we've discussed, leaking, incontinence, things like that. In some cases, it could provide some answers. I feel very much as if I'm always pushing pelvic floor physio, but I really think that it's such an overlooked part of the body, and I think it's written off as oh well, it just means you pee when you sneeze. If your pelvic floor is weak, you pee when you sneeze. But there's a lot more to it, as partly as we've just discussed. It could be linked to a whole host of other symptoms, and especially for women's health. I know we have men who watch this course too, and it's applicable to them, but I feel like I want to say, especially for women's health, things, pelvic floor issues are really just kind of dismissed and seen as, well, that's what happens when you're a woman, you're just gonna pee your pants. But anyway, please, if you suffer with all those things and they don't get better, and your back hurts all the time, pelvic floor physio could be the answer. I encourage you to do that for your health and explore further. All right. I said all the things, said lots of stuff. So let's move on and do some exercise. We're going to start by getting ourselves into the alignment that we've been practicing, that standing up alignment. Before we do that, I also want to think about that alignment when you're out walking. Let's stand up and let's get into alignment, and then we'll talk more about doing it while we're moving. So let's come up to feet. Actually took me less time to say all those things than I thought it would. So let's stand up, and we're thinking about that alignment. See if you can remember all the things. We want our feet hip width apart. Toes facing forwards and knees are soft. So traveling up, we're thinking about our perineum. Remember, that's the space between your vagina and your anus. If you're a man, it's the space behind your testicles and before you get to the anus. You want that bit, that perineum, to be over the space of your ankles. So have a little think about that. Rib cage is over the top of hips, so we're not leaning forward or we're not pushing back. We're have a look down. think about that. Shoulders are relaxed, and we'll have our arms just nicely at our sides. Shoulders away from your ears, and think about your nipples pointing straight forwards, not up or down or off to the side, but pointing straight forwards. And that's our alignment. That's how we stand. So I wanted to talk about our alignment while you're walking. So last week, last week, at the beginning of last week, I was really feeling my low back was not feeling great. And as I was walking along, I walked the dogs. I have 2 dogs. I walk them quite a lot. And I found that I was leaning forward. Like I lean forward and I look at the floor when I walk. And I started to think, this is not great for my alignment. My alignment is horrible. If you see me, I'm hunched at the shoulders and I'm leaning forward, but this is how I walk. So I really had to kind of stand up and think about it. I stopped, we were out for a walk, I put myself in that alignment and I tried to continue walking nice and upright and looking around. I feel like your instinct is to look at the floor to see where you're going, and then that in turn pushes your pelvis back, and then look at that, our alignment is nowhere. And actually when I stood up straight, my back hurt less. So what do you know? So next time you're out for a walk, think about that. Am I looking up and ahead? Now in some cases obviously you want to look at the floor because maybe it's uneven ground, or you're checking for hazards or what have you. But if you can, try and think you can still kind of look to the floor, but keep yourself aligned a little bit better. So think about that. All right. Another thing to think about when we're standing is relaxing that pelvic floor. So relaxing your glute muscles. Don't squeeze your bum. If you're standing, don't be just squeezing your bum all the time. That's putting a lot of tension in that pelvic area. And as we know, excess tension can impact your low back. Right. So if you've moved around, put yourself back in, like I have, put yourself back into that nice alignment. We're going to do some breathing and we're going to really think about relaxing our glute muscles. So right here, wherever you're standing, try and relax those glute muscles. Think about the flower blossoming, opening up, about, just being kind of relaxed in that area. Let's do some of our connection breath. One hand on our rib cage, one hand on our belly. Take a big inhale, and remember, as we inhale, we relax. So nice big inhale, fill those lungs, fill that belly. Exhale, and pick up that pelvic floor. Inhale. Relax, exhale. Now, as we exhale and we contract, I don't want you to squeeze your bum. I want you to try and keep your glutes relaxed here. Nice inhale. And exhale. And again, inhale. Exhale. Let's think about some of those cues that we use. As we inhale, that flower is opening. The petals are unfurling. And as we exhale, those petals are wrapping themselves back up, folding in. Inhale. Relax, exhale. Another way to think about it is the elevator. Inhale. Elevator lowers, exhale. Elevator comes up. Inhale. Lower, exhale. Come back up. Okay, pause here. What are your glute muscles doing? Are they relaxed? I hope so. Very good. All right, we're going to come down to the floor. And we'll start on our all fours. And we're going to do some work, some core stuff, some pelvic floor stuff, but we're going to think about our low back a little bit too, and some exercises that can kind of help relieve some low back stuff, some that I do if I'm feeling stiff in that area. So let's come down to the floor. We're going to step 1 foot forwards, lift that back heel, so bend at the knee, drop yourself down, hands on either side of that front foot, and come down onto our all fours. So let me just grab a piece of paper so I don't forget any of the exercises. So we're going to start on all fours. We can think about alignment in this position too. It's not quite as obvious. We want to have our hands right in line with our shoulders, so right down underneath our shoulders, so as opposed to coming forwards like this or leaning forwards. Hands underneath your shoulders, just making sure I'm in line with the camera. This will be better. Hip over knee, a nice straight line, so not pushed back and not coming forward. Hip underneath knee. And then we want to think about having a neutral spine. So I don't want you to look down at your knees, and you don't need to be looking right up like this. Just a nice flat back. Now we're going to do some of those Kegel exercises here and really think about that relaxation. I think this is a great position for thinking about the relaxation of your pelvic floor. So let's start with a nice big inhale. Inhale and relax. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. This time we're going to hold that contraction for our Kegel exercises. So take that big inhale. And exhale. Contract and hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale to relax. Let that elevator lower down and exhale. Pick it up for 1, 2, 3, and 4. Inhale, relax. And exhale. Contract for 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Inhale to relax. And exhale to contract. And hold for 1, 2, 3. Very good. All right, we'll stay in this hands and knees position for a few exercises here. We're going to start with a cat-cow stretch. If you've ever done any yoga, you'll probably recognize this one. So what we do is we take a big inhale, and as we inhale, you're going to lift your head and you kind of arch, you drop your back down, you lift your head up. And as you exhale, you arch that back, you round your shoulders and lower your head. So as we inhale, think about your breathing. Lift that head, relax that pelvic floor as you kind of stick your bum out here. As you exhale, contract and squeeze that pelvic floor as you arch your back and bring in your head. Let's do this a couple of times. Inhale. Nice and slowly, and exhale. Squeeze that pelvic floor. Inhale. And exhale. Definitely one of my go-to stretches when things feel crunchy in the lower back. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And one more. Inhale. And exhale. Good. And then relax back to center. Now, one stretch that I really want to show you, and it is a yoga pose, although it can be, it involves a lot of knee bending. or not knee bending, but a big knee bend is the child's pose. From all fours, you're going to sink back onto your heels and you sit down, stretch those arms right out. We're not going to hold this for a long time, so I'm not sure. It's not always appropriate for everyone to have their legs folded up like this, but have a go if you want to. Down into that child's pose. This is a really nice stretch through that low back. Stretch those arms right out as far as you can. You can also walk your hands over from one side and to the other and stretch in those on either side of the body. Let's come back up to all fours now. We won't spend a lot of time there, but try that one out by yourself if you want to. So let's stay again in these hands and knees. Make sure you're in that alignment here, hands underneath your shoulders and the knees directly underneath your hips. I just need to move myself forwards a little bit because the next exercise I'm going to kick the sofa. I'm just going to change my angle here. We're going to lift one arm and the opposite leg. So I'm going to reach forwards with my right arm and my left leg, which looks like this. And then back to center. And then we'll switch to the other side. So we'll inhale as we stretch. Exhale slowly back to center. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale to relax. Exhale. Pick up that pelvic floor. Squeeze through your glutes as you bring that hand and knee back down. Just keep going. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, nice and slowly. Once more each side. Very good. Okay, staying down on the ground, we're going to turn ourselves around so that you're on your back. So let's sit down and on one hip. Bring those feet forwards. And we're going to slowly lay down. I'm just going to put myself again at an angle so that I don't bash the sofa. You can't see me. All right, so feet are flat on the floor. And let's lift those legs up here. Think about your alignment. We don't want to be forcing our low back into the ground because that tilts your pelvis up. So think about a neutral pelvis. For me, there's a little space between my back and the floor. Not a big space, but I can just get my hand under there. So my rib cage is on top of my hips. Arms are going to come straight up to the ceiling. And our legs are bent here at the knees. Now we're doing basically the same movement, but on the floor. So opposite arm and opposite leg. You're going to inhale, reach towards the floor. Exhale back to center. Inhale, too close to the sofa. Exhale. I just need to move slightly. Here we go. And when you're ready, opposite arm, opposite leg. Big inhale. Exhale back to center. Inhale to relax. Exhale. Inhale, nice and slowly reach down. Exhale. The point of this exercise is not to move fast. We want to go nice and slowly. We're working with that pelvic floor and really working some very deep core muscles. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale, contract that pelvic floor as you pick your legs and arm back up. One more each side. Very good. You can relax your feet here for a moment. So one little exercise I like to do if I'm feeling that low back, pick my feet up and then I press my low back into the floor. So you are kind of tilting that pelvis back a bit. And then we're going to rock ever so slightly from side to side. Just move those feet side to side. And you kind of get a little bit of a massage on the floor. I find this actually feels good. I find it quite relieving at times. Good. It's just a small movement. If it feels painful, if it feels really uncomfortable, then it might not be for you. It feels better on a yoga mat, actually, than just on this hard floor. Relax our feet. We're going to stay on the ground. I just need to check my piece of paper. And we're going to do some bridge lifts. So let me get to position here. Feet flat on the floor. A little space between your back and the floor. If your rib cage and hips are nicely in alignment. So a bridge lift, if we remember, we're going to press down with our feet onto the floor and we're going to lift our hips at the same time. Now we'll take an inhale to prepare, and as we lift our hips, we're going to exhale. So let's take a big inhale and then exhale as you lift your hips. As you lift, you're going to squeeze your bum and you're going to pick up that pelvic floor too. Now as we inhale, let go of those glutes and let that pelvic floor, let that elevator go down. Now exhale, squeeze and contract everything. And inhale, relax. Exhale, so lift, inhale. I really like this exercise for practicing that relaxation. When you let go of the glute squeeze, it really gives a very good, obvious physical reminder to relax that pelvic floor too. Exhale. Inhale and relax. Exhale. Lift and squeeze. Inhale, relax. Exhale. Lift and squeeze. Inhale and relax down. Very good. All right. Let's do a couple of our old favorites here. Pick your feet up. Think about where your hips are. Are you in alignment with your rib cage here? And we're going to tap one toe at a time. Inhale as you lower. Exhale as you pick up. Moving as slowly as you can to match your breathing. Inhale as you lower that toe. One more. Good. Feet flat on the floor here. And let's take this a little bit further. We're going to slide one heel out and back in. So inhale as you press that foot away. Exhale as you bring that foot back up. So inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale slowly. Exhale. Inhale. Think about relaxing. Exhale, squeeze and contract. One more on each side. Very good. All right, we're going to come back up to sitting. So walk your feet, we'll back up to feet. Walk your feet to one side and let's roll those hips. Roll onto your side here, push yourself up. Nice. And slowly. And then I'm just going to come up to sit. To come up to feet, up onto all fours here. Bring that one foot up. Use the chair or the sofa. Push yourself up to feet. Excellent. All right, actually a little bit shorter than I imagined we would be today. We don't quite have time to go through all the exercises again, but thank you so much for joining. Let's see, does anybody have any questions, anything they want to say before we sign off? Anything that wasn't clear? Please, I encourage you to go back and rewatch things to do the exercise parts again. I know we don't spend as much time on exercise as maybe we do in other classes. This is a lot of education. Anything else you'd like to see, please let me know. You can type it in the chat if you don't want to speak, or you can just shout right out now. I would love to hear everybody's thoughts. Next week, I think our topic, we're going to have a little discussion about pelvic floor and our mental health. I'm going to say there'll be more exercise. I know I say that every week. But yeah, that's my plan. That's my plan for week 7. Everyone's so quiet. Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to say bye. If you don't feel comfortable talking in this environment, you can always send Abby or myself an email, or you can, talk to me in class if you see me at class.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you. That's good. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Karen. All right. See you next week, everybody. Bye.